Greetings. Welcome to Progressive Discussions. I am your host for Progressive Discussions, James P. Madonna, and I am here with my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, and we are coming to you live from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. It happens to be Saturday, February 11th, 2012. And how are you today, sir?
Hi.
What?
Hi.
What does that mean?
Japanese.
Oh, hi means...
I'm speaking Japanese. Hi.
I think hi is yes.
Hi.
That means you're alive and
Hi.
breathing. It's being funny. But anyway, this is me prop. It is an imported blackthorn shillelagh imported from Ireland. It is weapons grade. I use it to emphasize many things, and I enjoy waving it around. Even though some people... Look, we have a lot of fans, but believe it or not, there are certain men and women who do not like what we do or in the style in which we do it. And my message to them is, excuse me, I have a sudden itch on my...
Stick up the middle finger. That's your message.
Hold on, man. I'm waiting. Give me a chance. I have a sudden itch on my forehead. For those of you men and women, I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's Miss Universe that don't like us. I have an itch on my forehead. Excuse me. I need to scratch me forehead. Beep 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 beep. Oh,
there you go.
There you go. My message. All right. Now, hey, let me see. Let me get my clipboard here. Put the shillelagh down, and unfortunately, get my reading glasses. And for those of you that don't like the fact that I need reading glasses, well, my forehead is itchy one more time. Anyway, you like me haircut? Got them all cut, actually, not just one hair, but I was telling Dr. Bill I don't have to brush my hair for a long time now. I mean, compared to last time I was here, last week, I had a big mop.
Well, mine's just coming back in.
Yeah.
In another couple of weeks, it'll be decent. Right now,
yeah,
I'm ashamed to go out.
Well, your hair grows like weeds, like my hair.
Except on my monk patch.
Oh. When I was a kid, I had a German barber named Teddy. He used to say, "James, your hair grows like weeds." Like weeds.
Yeah, like weeds.
Weeds. Okay. All right. Before I get to one of the titles, I don't have much here to read, but Mr. Gary Null, Dr. Gary Null posted an article. Found it very fascinating, and the reason why is because it is the new scam with corporate America. Remember a long time ago I mentioned that corporate America has a sneaky way of getting free sort of slave labor from school interns.
Yeah. And
you have the never-ending flow of senior students that are, before they graduate, they get school credits and they work for free, and then they graduate, and then the company gets another truckload of freebies. Free. Well, there's something extra, Dr. Bill.
Oh boy.
And it's called the H1B Visa immigrants.
Yeah.
H1B Visa immigrants do not have, I believe they do not have their green card yet. They have a authorization to work in the United States, and they get sponsored by a company.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They work dirt cheap, and doesn't
like about 1/3 of what the professionals make in this country.
So so between H1B, look, I'm not criticizing or putting down the immigrants. They do what they have to do to find a better life. I'm putting down the corporate American CEOs. I'm putting down the greedy scumbags. I'm putting down corporatism and the conservatives that love them. I'm putting them down for finding more reasons to permanently eliminate full-time jobs from American citizens, taking away more jobs, eliminating more full-time jobs from American citizens. So you combine this scam with outsourcing, and my message to all these conservatives that are
this is insourcing.
This is insourcing, but getting off real cheap. So my message to all those conservatives that tell me all the time on Facebook that that the masses that that claim, you know, to be supporting Democrats and progressives and everything, that they're lazy. If they don't have a job, they're lazy, and you know, they're telling everybody go out and find a damn job. You know, blah 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 blah. Well, you know what? This is further proof that there are even less jobs than you imagine, and of course the unemployment rate is much higher than they say it is. So I find it interesting how it's just a never-ending process with corporate America, just continuing to get closer and closer and closer to slave labor. So it's interesting. Anyway, Gary Null put that up. Thank you, Dr. Gary Null. Okay, now, this, being that Valentine's Day is, I believe, this Tuesday, right?
Hey.
February 14th, the pagan, overly commercialized, just like Christmas, St. Valentine's Day. Now, no Christian connection to it. It's not a real holiday. It's just a pagan holiday that was an excuse for the florists, the greeting card companies,
the chocolate,
the candy company, and the fine jewelers. Those people have an excuse to rip you off and to capitalize in this free market capitalist society and take advantage of you. And with the chickie poos, with the American women, you know, sort of emotionally extorting all these overpriced, expensive, extravagant gifts from their boyfriends and husbands, making them feel guilty if they do not empty out their bank accounts and possibly spend money that they don't have. And thus is the St. Valentine's Day Massacre on our wallets. I know the Wizard Azibuko did a show about it, but I am bringing it back for 2012, St. Valentine's Day Massacre on our wallets. Same thing with Christmas. People are made to feel guilty that they have to just spend money that they don't have and pay ridiculous prices for, of course, the roses. What are they, over $100 now from a florist?
Yeah, and then they're dead in 3 days.
And they're dead in 3 days. Well, if you hang them upside down on the wall, guess what? They become perfect dry flowers. So don't throw them away. Do that, ladies. If you suckered any dude to buy you those expensive roses, hang them upside down. Of course, there's the complete rip-off fine jewelry industry, like your Jareds and everything. You know, so this idiot, this asshole radio DJ was saying all day on the radio, as I'm shopping, I'm listening to it. He's saying, let's see, he's saying, well, who spends more money on Valentine's Day, men or women? Now, he's got to bring up who spends more money. He can't talk about, you know, while appreciating your loved one. Actually, you should appreciate your loved one all year round. Same thing with Christmas, you know, with the Christian tie-in to Jesus. You should appreciate your loved one all the time, not just once a year. And why should money always enter the picture? Who spends more on Valentine's Day, men or women? Give me a break. So we know what that is. That's a sneaky way to get people to go out and spend. I think it's a psychological scheme by sponsors of the radio station to get people, to make them feel guilty about, oh gee, oh men spend more, oh women spend more, oh maybe I should spend more, oh that doesn't sound fair. You know, just to rile people up to go out and just empty out their wallets on a completely ridiculous pagan holiday. You know, I always say the best gift would be the most authentic Valentine's Day gift would be a broiled beef heart, because it's a heart. It's low calorie, it's low carb, high protein. Come on, man, have a heart. Have a heart, Dr. Bill. You like that one?
Man. Oh, man.
So yeah, you know, I'm a fun guy. I love mushrooms. Excuse me. Oh man. So anyway, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre or Massacre on our wallets. Oh boy. So now give us a little history of the Cupid. It wasn't that Putti a Roman god?
Putties, yes, Putti.
Putti was a Roman god.
Putti, small little angel type. Cupids.
They're not angels from the Bible.
No,
Angels from the Bible are gigantic and fiery and come in many different forms, like gargoyles. But this is a Roman god, Putti. You know, the fat, chubby cheek little baby, the little toddler with the curly hair, and the little tiny bow and arrow.
Oh, that's Cupid.
Oh, isn't Cupid Putti the same?
Well, the Putti is, you know, an angel, a little Cupid, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
But
well,
Cupid is the, you know, the one that kept shooting Venus and, you know, all that stuff.
Now in mythology, the satyr, the satyr, rather, a satyr, was like a wood nymph, like Pan. And he was always horny all the time.
Yeah, he liked the bacchanalia. Have a good, you know.
What does bacchanalia mean?
Booze and sex.
Oh,
big time.
Bacchus.
Bacchus.
That's the god they recognized that god during Carnival, during Mardi Gras.
Carnival.
Hold on, wait for this. Okay. During Carnival, Mardi Gras in New Orleans, Bacchus, the god of fun, right? Of festivity.
Festivity and all that stuff.
I like that. Yeah. I like Bacchus. Anyway, I was saying earlier...
Is that Jim Bacchus?
No, Jim Bacchus was Mr. Magoo and Thurston Howell III. Ah, Charlie. Oh, Magoo, he done it again.
I almost walked into the wall.
Yeah. Oh, Magoo. Oh, you done it again. Bye, George. Anyway,
Bye, George.
This woman, this older woman, she was insisting, of course they all do, right-wing fundamentalists, zealot religious nuts, they were insisting that a fertilized egg is a human being. I was telling her, you're completely wrong, and she just immediately blocked me and took me off the friends list and just blocked me from, after I had a nice big juicy reply for her, about 2 paragraphs long, she blocked me. I couldn't send it to her. So yeah, you can't tell them anything. They're always right, and they're not open to independent free thinkers.
Ideology never is. That's the problem.
No debating with these people.
Nope.
Unbelievable.
And the best part of it is they're wrong.
Yeah, like the king.
And they maintain that idea.
Like the most famous religious nut in 2012, Mr. Rick Sanitarium Santorum, because he belongs in a sanitarium. Rick Santorum is a nut. He's a zealot, right-wing fundamentalist, gay-bashing, yeah, homophobic, maybe he hates women, religious nut.
All of the right-wing religious nuts have a problem with women, which goes all the way back to Eve, in the Garden of Eden.
But the amazing thing is they all have a bat phone and a stovepipe to God.
That's true, yep. They know they know God's mind, but God says that they don't know my mind. And God also says the carnal mind, the mind of humans, is enmity towards God and His ways.
Not only that.
Not only don't we understand them, we don't want to do them.
Not only that, these conservative Republicans that are so sure that God is on their side, I flat out told them, if God was on the side of Republicans, of the right-wing conservatives, you rich people, you 1%ers would be helping the poor all the time, because the Bible is loaded with demands or commands or verses about the rich helping and giving to the poor. So how can God be a right-wing conservative?
Well, God is not into politics, number one.
Yeah.
But there would be no poor if they were really Christian.
If they were really Christians, instead of being counterfeit Christians. God's economics tells the rich, the 1%, or maybe the
30%,
$250,000 and up is that's 30%, right?
Probably 30% of the American population.
To be philanthropical and continue to help the poor and give to the poor, and that's something that the Republicans are completely against.
Well, they're not supposed to be the poor. They're supposed to be your brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And I got news for that guy. Oh, by the way, I sent you the whole thing in Facebook. That dude that's calling, you know, the progressive masses and people that are down and out, calling them like lazy and all that stuff, and saying that the American dream is not for the elitists only, it's for everybody. And I explained to him that it wasn't for everybody; it was only for the privileged. And he just went on and on and on and on.
What about the 90% who never achieve the American dream? Are those good odds? I think the odds are better to win the Publishers Clearinghouse.
The man is his name, I believe, is Mr. Peter Anton. Well, you'll see what he has to say. He goes on and then again, I went on and on and on, but there's a difference. I went on and on and on with the real hard-hitting truth. He was just finding excuses not to help people less privileged than he, and he was trying to say that you know, that everybody's got breaks in America. The flag waving, Yankee Doodle dandy, patriotic, blah 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 blah. You know, same old bullshit. You know, everybody's got the breaks. The American dream is for everybody. I'm not talking about Dusty Rhodes.
Well, I have a little illustration to that.
But you'll see. You'll read.
I don't know if you're up on the sports of late, but this guy who's not too old, this new basketball player, Mr. Lin, L-I-N. Of Asian extraction.
He's very tall, right?
He's tall, yes. Whoa, my God, for his, he's 6 something, I think, 6'8", maybe, something like that. But you're talking about the breaks. Well, he was in, is it the Knicks? I'm not sure if he's on the Knicks or what.
He played with the NBA?
He's there now.
Oh, yeah?
The point I'm trying to make is it doesn't really matter what team he's with or whatever, but
right.
Because a regular on the team got ill or something,
yeah,
he went into the lineup, and now he's going nuts.
He's a superstar.
Well, he's right there now. I mean, he's, you know, the last 3 games they won, he's been there, and he's been 28.
So now,
28 things.
Because one person, one starter on the team is out of commission, he got an opportunity by fate alone, a break. You hear what Dr. Bill's saying? He got a break to show the basketball world what he's made out of.
Right.
Whereas if he did not get that break, how long would he have to wait?
He'd be sitting on the bench for who the hell knows how long.
He'd be having hemorrhoids and, you know,
talent going to waste. You realize how much talent in the United States presently and in the past has gone to waste because they never got a break. And as Red Buttons used to say, I never got a dinner.
Right, exactly. And this includes poor kids living in a ghetto who might have a high IQ and, you know, should get scholarships and, you know, don't have the money to go to an Ivy League college but have qualifications and the intelligence to. It's a shame how people with raw talent, just because they come from poor families, don't have that break in life. Don't get, but this guy, Mr. Peter Anton, was saying, "Gee, everybody in America's got a break. Oh, if you're not successful, you're lazy."
That's right.
You know, these are all excuses not to have social programs to help the poor. These people are just that stingy and greedy, Dr. Bill.
That's what it amounts to.
It's amazing.
Pure greed. The devil.
The devil's economics.
Greed.
Beelzebub. How much money does a human being need to have? Incredible. Oh,
God says to be content with contentment.
God says, listen, Republicans, God says that you should be content with contentment, which means if you, I think Jesus said it too, if you have a decent shelter, clothing, and food, you should be happy.
Well, in the millennium, each man will have his own land and his own vine. There will be food aplenty. Micah 4, verse 4.
A cornucopia of everything you need. Listen, if I don't need a mansion. I know some people that are crying the blues because they don't have a mansion and they don't have a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Let me tell you something.
Ooh.
If I had a nice, thank you for shutting up. If I had a nice, like ranch-style cottage, and I had some ground there to farm on and raise chickens and everything, I think I'd be pretty happy. I would be very content with that.
You'd be happy getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning with that rooster crowing?
4? They get up at 4?
Farmers hours, baby.
Why do I get? No, I ain't gonna get up that early. I'll have you there to watch the chickens.
Oh yeah, sure.
No, I'll get up.
I go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning.
So do I. No, I used to. No, I mean I love chickens. I love animals, but the eggs are gonna have to wait. When I'm good and ready and my ass is out of bed, then I go.
You can pick the eggs anytime you want, but you know.
Well, I would do free range chickens. I would have fruit trees, and like in like in the Dominican Republic, somebody told me the hens sleep. The chickens sleep on the tree branches at night, and then they make their nest at the base of the tree. They free range.
Yeah, I've seen these places in Connecticut that they have houses for the chickens. They can go in and out.
Yeah, but
not like what you would think of as a chicken. These are decent places.
My friend.
Decent places.
My friend, if you're handy, if somebody knows carpentry, and they build their own hen house, that's great. It's fine and dandy. But guess what? I've priced already made chicken coops and hen houses of all different sizes, and even the cheapest one is hundreds of dollars.
Well, yeah. What do you
expect? Cheapest one. I mean, can't Rubbermaid come around and make a heavy-duty plastic hen house? That's not a bad idea.
I don't think they have too much call for it. That's, you know.
Yeah. Well, now that
on the market.
Now that people are getting back to basics with the victory gardens, and some people even in New York are allowed to have chickens
on the
now.
roofs.
I mean, look, with the economy being the way it is, people are getting back to that. The victory garden, maybe the hens, the eggs. You know, I mean, I don't think I would be able to dispatch a chicken for meat after I bond with it and get to know it, and it's looking at me. I don't think I could do it, but the eggs I could do. I would be in ecstasy. You know, I would be excited about the whole project, excited. And
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Exactly. In order to how's it? You got to break. In life, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Exactly. I sound like Vincent Price as the egghead, right? Well, with this haircut. Oh, before we go to the article, which we're going to do right now, I want to congratulate our local team, the New York Giants, Big Blue Wrecking Crew, or G-Men. I want to congratulate them for winning, I believe, their second Super Bowl championship in 4 years, which means Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl MVP titles and 2 Super Bowl rings, and Coach Tom Coughlin.
Coughlin, I think it is.
Has 2 rings, which I'm happy for him. And they weren't supposed to win because their record
9 and 8 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. But they came from behind. They intestinal fortitude, a little bit of luck here and there, a lot of guts, and a lot of drive, and they beat teams that had a much better record than they did. So it's kind of like
the Patriots.
No,
the Patriots had a hell of a better record than they did.
What about Green Bay?
And Green Bay
had the best, right?
Best record.
San Francisco had a much better. 49ers had a much better record than the Giants, and they went through all of them. And you remember the Miracle Mets? Remember them? Well, these are like the Miracle Giants.
Remember the Mets started 1962.
Casey Stengel was the first. Old man Stengel was the first manager. But Giants
and the one of the what the hell do you call them? The advertisers on the first radio program.
Schaefer beer.
No, Rheingold.
Rheingold,
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, Schaefer, well, Pabst Blue Ribbon is an old company. I remember the jingle. Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Schaefer's pleasure doesn't fade even when your thirst is done.
Thirst is done, that's right.
The most rewarding pleasure in this man's world for people who are having fun. Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Anyway, you know what? Before the Giants played in the Super Bowl, I wished them luck with the shillelagh. I saluted them with the shillelagh. Maybe the leprechaun stick gave the Giants some luck. A little bit of luck.
Well, they must have had luck because they weren't doing too well until the 4th quarter.
Hey, man, if your racehorse wins by a nose, you still won the trifecta.
A win is a win. Yes.
Exactly. I don't like wins like that because I don't like being at the edge of my seat, a nervous wreck. I like to blow away my opponents early.
Yeah, well.
So I can enjoy.
They did not do that.
No, it was exciting. I think the shillelagh did give them luck. Anyway, first article.
Governor Christie.
What better way to start the day, right?
And the executive director of the state's largest teachers union on Wednesday called on each other to resign in an escalation of a nasty feud between the Republican governor and the New Jersey Education Association.
I know what I would tell him, but finish the article.
The volley began when Christie lashed out at the union official Vincent Giordano.
He always lashes out at unions.
For a comment he made on the NJTV program New Jersey Capitol Report on Sunday about school vouchers to pay for students to attend private schools. Commenting about how the poor can't always attend private and charter schools, Giordano said, "Life's not always fair, and I'm sorry about that." Earlier in the conversation, he had said poor parents should have access to the same options as those who can afford to send their children to high-performing schools.
A good education, good health care, and a decent retirement should be rights in a free democracy, not privileges.
But Christie called Giordano's comment outrageous.
Yeah, because he's a fat, greedy, stingy, mean-spirited conservative.
And said if Giordano didn't resign, Barbara Kashishian, president of the Education Association, should fire him.
Oh, because he's anti-union, so, he would love to see that.
Well, he's anti-public school, too. He'd rather see everything in charter schools and private schools.
So only,
Mr. Christie.
So only well-educated.
As it used to be in the old days. Only the elites were able to send their children to school.
During feudalism? Really?
Before that and feudalism, yes, of course.
Only the fat cat's kids
That's correct.
got an education.
Because the poor were not educable.
See? My Persian club swinging?
I cannot express
Pectoralis majus? Right, go
how
ahead.
disgusted I am
Right.
by that statement by the head of the largest teachers union in our state, Christie said.
He wants to dumb down the poor and the middle class is what they want to do.
But I also have to tell you, I'm not the least bit surprised, because I think it so succinctly captures what their real position is. Then the governor took a personal swipe. As Vince drives out of the palace on State Street in his big luxury car and his $500,000 salary, I'm sure life's really fair for him. And if Vince's kids were in a failing school district, he could afford to send them to any school in New Jersey. And not long afterward, the former Republican governor of Florida, Jeb Bush, tweeted his support for Christie. Jeb Bush, by the way, or is it Neil? I believe it's Neil, but they are in the education business and made a fortune off of No Child Left Behind. Something of that
Or
nature.
was any child left behind?
All of them were.
Then why did they call it No Child Left Behind?
Why do you think Obama gave 10 states a waiver the other day? So that they wouldn't have to do what No Child Left Behind says to do.
Oh, gosh.
Let's see, Jeb Bush. Last week, Bush gave a talk in Morris County echoing Christie's education reforms. Hours later,
Reform?
Giordano fired back, calling for Christie to resign.
Reform?
Yeah.
I assume that the word reform means to change things for the better, right?
Usually, but, you know, they used to call juvenile detention centers in the old days reform schools.
But what are they reforming now with education? They're depriving low-income people and even the average the average middle-class children. They're depriving them of a free public school education. They don't want a free public school education, right?
No, of course not.
Oh.
That, because you know why? Going back to your person, Mr. Peter Anton, did you say?
Anta.
Because free education, if possible, if fate plays its cards right and you are in the middle, that will allow you to take advantage of any breaks that come your way. A free education. They don't want that. It's all baloney what they tell you about that stuff. They don't want those below, those in the 70% to have those kind of breaks.
But do you see how, as time goes by, the right wing looks for more ways to reduce the size of government?
No.
Or reduce social services?
Yes, that part of government that promotes the general welfare, as Section 1, Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution says.
But it's okay to have an overly inflated military budget.
Oh yeah, military budget and wars with all kinds of countries that didn't do nothing to you, etc.
Yeah.
You know how many bases? I saw a map the other day. Very interesting.
Lionel put it up?
No.
I think. He's been doing it.
It showed all the military bases over there in the Middle East. They all surround Iran. Our bases.
Interesting.
And we're the ones that are pissed off?
They should be pissed off.
I should think so.
So Hillary Clinton denying any United States involvement in the assassination of the Iran's nuclear scientists?
Baloney.
I mean, if your bases are surrounding Iran, if it walks like a duck and sounds like a duck and looks like a duck.
Waddles like a duck.
Waddles like a... Yeah,
Waddles
that's what I said.
like a
Waddles.
duck, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
It's a duck.
Somebody told me on a chat the other
Duck
day.
that's out of luck, actually.
Somebody told me the other day on chat, yeah, but it might be a goose.
What's the difference between a goose and a gander? What is a gander, to be exact? Is that a male goose?
I don't know, but a gander was or is or something. Wasn't that a base, a scientific base up in Antarctica or
Down in
the
Antarctica.
North Pole or something? Gander, no, Gander, Newfoundland.
Newfoundland is a maritime province of Canada,
Yeah,
on the Atlantic.
that's where it is.
Well, I tell you, I'd rather deal with I'd rather look at the penguins of Antarctica than deal with the polar bears, with that are completely carnivorous. But anyway, finish up here.
If he thinks he's going to bully me like he bullies everyone else, he doesn't understand who I am
Good for him.
or how deeply I care about the work I do.
Good for him. I would fight Christie tooth and nail. All right, I want to say
Hey,
something.
what if we could put them on?
A steel cage match?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be beautiful. I would like to be in a
Can you imagine-
steel cage match with a Republican.
Hey, can you imagine Christie as a manager?
You know,
One of the heels.
You know, ECP, East Coast Professional Wrestling, has a new manager that looks like Chris Christie.
Yeah.
He's the same size. He's like a cross
He should come in
between.
with a refrigerator in tow.
He looks like Ralph Cram. He dresses sort of like Ralph Cramden, but he looks like Chris Christie. But I would love to be in a handicap match in a steel cage against, let's say, Santorum, Newt Gingrich, and maybe Christie.
All four at the same time? Or all three?
I'll wear them out. I'll wear them out. They can't be well conditioned.
Hell no.
No.
When it comes to reproductive rights...
Before you say this, I forgot to say one thing about that article about Christie.
Mr. Christie, yeah.
Now, what I would say to Chris Christie, to defend teachers, I would say, Mr. Christie, when you first became an attorney, a lawyer, I'm sure your intentions were to acquire a very high salary and live a much better standard of living. I'm sure you did make very good money as an attorney. Did you or didn't you? So as a career person, as a person becoming an attorney, and then an attorney becoming a career politician,
He became a DA first.
a DA first, I'm sure you received or you expected to receive adequate, above average, adequate compensation. I'm sure you wanted to make some big bucks, and I'm sure, Mr. Christie, you made big bucks as a DA, and of course when you entered politics. So, what makes you? Why should other careers, skilled careers, professions, should I say professions like a teacher, why should they take a huge cut in pay and benefits? Why should they not make a decent salary like you did when you became a DA?
Yeah, what is the
Lawyers make excellent money.
Yeah, but but teachers are very important to our economy and our country.
Good teachers.
Now, why wouldn't we have teachers having better salaries than CEOs? What's the problem there?
I think a good teacher is very crucial in the future of America's youth.
No kidding. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. But why then? Why don't we have commensurate salaries?
You know, you made a very good point. The importance to society of a good teacher far surpasses that of a greedy, stingy CEO or any career politician, or even a lawyer for that matter. A good teacher who is responsible for America, the youth of the future of America's youth, just like good parents would be, is far more important. So to deprive teachers of a decent salary that a profession like that should receive is absolutely despicable. It's like how many
Not only
people
deprive them, but insult them.
insult them. So therefore, how many new teachers do you think are going to come out of school after this? I wouldn't. I would choose a different profession.
Sure.
I wouldn't dedicate myself. I want to be compensated. And I hope one of Christie's buddies is listening to this. I would want to be well compensated, just like you were well compensated as a DA, and now as a politician. And you want everybody to make sacrifices, Christie. But what about what does he get? $175,000 a year?
Somewhere around there.
And probably freebies left and right. Why don't you make some sacrifices?
No, it's not in the cards.
No, it's not in a. He'll close down food pantries, but he won't take a cut in his whopping salary.
He tries. He tries to eat less and to exercise.
Tries?
He tries. Yeah, he tries. He tries. Seems to me he ain't trying too hard, because he looks to me like he's putting on weight.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know, and of course I can't get over that big saccharine sweet smile that Oprah had when she interviewed Christie. But anyway, the next one looks good.
When it comes to reproductive rights, there are many controversial issues. But for more than half a century, adult access to contraception has not been one of them. Back in 1965, any question about access to contraception was put to rest when the Supreme Court overturned the state of Connecticut's ban on any drug, medicinal article, or instrument for the purpose of preventing conception. Nowadays, most women use or have used birth control at some point during their lives. Birth control is a critical component of women's health care. The problem these days is that without adequate health care coverage, contraception can be too expensive. In fact, 1 in 3 women has struggled to pay for birth control, according to a 2010 study by Planned Parenthood. It's no wonder why so many women struggle. Even for women with health care coverage, co-pays for birth control can be as much as $50 a month. That's why, under the landmark health care reform law Congress passed and President Obama signed into law, all health insurance plans will be required to cover contraception with no additional cost or copay, beginning this year. It's a historic reform that will benefit women and families across America.
How did he get it done without opposition?
You're going to learn.
I'm going to learn.
Unfortunately, there is a move afoot to undo this momentous provision of the health care law.
Andouille? I love that sausage.
I had it.
Andouille?
I had it.
Oh, undo. Oh, yeah, undo. Was it real andouille?
Yes.
Screwy andouille?
A little spicy the first bite. After that, it sort of calms down.
Okay. It's expensive, I hear. Anyway.
No.
No?
It was cheaper than kielbasa.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, opponents of this contraception coverage claim it violates religious beliefs.
Oh, here we go. Why can't they keep religion out of politics, out of secularism?
The Catholic Church's argument is keep government out of our religion.
Right. Well, why? Well, then keep religion out of our government.
Oh, no. They don't want to reciprocate.
Oh, really?
That's what the argument is.
So we have your cake, getting your cake and eating it?
Yeah.
Something like that?
And they want coconut on top, too.
Having your cake and eating it.
That's it.
Oh.
But that claim belies the facts. To begin with, under this policy, churches and other houses of worship will not be required to offer insurance that covers contraception. However, If an organization's primary mission isn't religious, it will not be exempt. Also under this policy, no doctor will be forced to prescribe contraception, and no woman will be forced to buy or use birth control. In addition, drugs that terminate pregnancies, including RU-486, are not covered by this policy. In other words, they gave in to the religious nuts on that one. We shouldn't allow misleading criticisms to distract us from the benefits of this policy. Americans overwhelmingly recognize the benefits of covering birth control at no additional cost. In fact, 71% of American voters, including more than 3/4 of Catholic women voters, support this policy. The fact is, women already face enough challenges getting access to health care.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's nobody's damn business if a woman does not want to be fruitful and multiply. It's nobody's damn stinking business. If she wants to get an IUD put in, like the copper IUD, which is non-hormonal, I happen to think it's the best convenient overall birth control. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, you know what? Too damn bad. Let the cat wait.
Open the door for the mouser.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
There he goes. Just last week, the Susan G. Komen for the Cure Foundation, the nation's top breast cancer charity, announced plans to stop funding Planned Parenthood.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Which provides breast exams for hundreds of thousands of women each year. Countless citizens expressed their anger on the internet. Komen reversed its decision a few days later, but it reflects how politics can infect women's health care. The bottom line is, women deserve affordable health care, particularly when it comes to the preventive care women need to lead healthier lives. Attacks on women's health driven by an ideological agenda,
Here we go.
whether to undermine access to contraception or funding for breast cancer screenings, is not only poison for our political debate, but also threatens the well-being of women across our country. The health care reform law's requirement that insurers cover contraception with no extra copays or costs is a major step forward for women's rights. We must speak out against those who are trying to take this right away before it even gets started. Now, one thing that was left out of this article, okay, a very important point, was that this policy allows the Catholic Church to not have to pay for these things, even if they are an employer.
Yeah.
They don't have to buy and pay for insurance that will do these things, but the insurance company has to. Okay? The real problem with this thing was, in the beginning, the Catholic Church, because they are hospitals, they are healthcare centers,
Right.
they are this, that, and the other thing. They did not want to pay for an insurance policy for their workers that allowed contraception and abortion. Okay? And they claimed that when Obama and Congress put this law into effect, they said that they were infringing upon their religious beliefs. Now I say, excuse me, if a religious organization becomes an employer, such as a hospital or a healthcare center or whatever,
They got to abide by the secular rules and
that's
laws.
correct. That's correct. And the Bible says so. It says it very clearly. It says, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is God's.
And render my
Caesar representing our secular country.
Yeah, and rendering my shillelagh upside the heads of conservatives. All the conservatives of the 2012 campaign are all saying this is attack. This is an attack on religion.
When in fact, it's a religious attack upon our secular government.
That's right.
That's what it is.
Now, did you see that banner with crazy Rick Santorum next to a photo of Osama bin Laden, talking about...
They both want the same thing.
They want the same thing involving having religion rule government, something to that effect?
That's correct.
Should I say the Inquisition? Should I say...
Should you say that that particular church in history has killed over 50 million people trying to convert them by the sword?
Convert them by the sword, that's right. Right-wing fundamentalism is not new, folks. It's very old. But it seems to be about power. Everybody is upset. From ancient times to today, people are obsessed with promoting their agenda, but it's all about power. There's an obsession with money. Yes, I grant it. There's an obsession with money, greed, selfishness, stinginess. But power seems to be a deep, primary, underlying objective.
And that all seems to go back, if you're a biblist, if you believe your Bible.
Right.
It all seems to go back to Mr. Satan, who wanted to become a competitor to God.
Pride.
Power.
Vanity.
He wanted to sit on God's throne.
So pride, vanity, self-centeredness,
competition,
power, competition, which Republicans love. Setting goals and always competing and stepping on somebody to get ahead. They love that. That's of the devil. It's the devil's economics. Free market capitalism. Okay. My partner and mentor has to take his, hold on, astronomical
break.
Boing. Gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by high green tea. It's funny how birds of a feather really do flock together. You know what I'm saying? You find one right-wing fundamentalist zealot, a religious nut, and everybody they know seems to be the same way. We're back. Okay. Well, we were saying before about the right-wing fundamentalists wanting power. All they care about is power. Then we talked about the Catholic Church with the Inquisition. The Catholic Church also did not like science, Dr. Bill. They oppressed science.
Science disagreed with their beliefs.
Galileo and I guess Copernicus and
Kepler, all of them.
Kepler, yeah. Well, Isaac Newton didn't give a damn because he was a Protestant, right? He was in England, Sir Isaac Newton. But they don't like science because it disagrees with them and their form of Christianity, which is counterfeit Christianity, not of the Bible, allows them to continue their racket, their scamming, their power-hungry...
Institutional scam, yes.
It's institutional scamming. Or racket, which is what they've done. And, of course, many skeletons in the Catholic Church that have been covered up. Believe me.
That's for sure.
Believe me.
What about the recent ones? 1/3 of the priests, pedophiles.
No. The worst I heard was when they
no one else goes back to
the assassination of, what is it, John Paul I. People felt that he was poisoned. Well, people came forth and said that the Vatican Bank was involved in money laundering.
What about going back to World War II and the rat lines, where the Pope got the Nazis out of Germany to Latin America, etc.?
Oh, help save their ass.
Yeah.
And you mean people guilty of war crimes? Argentina, South America. Like, in other words, help sneak them out of Europe before they were captured and tried. Yeah, people were saying money laundering involving heroin trafficking. The Catholic Vatican banker. Yeah, that's what I saw it on a documentary on. I don't know if it was the History Channel or what, but it was out there. Yeah.
You see, people just don't give a damn.
People, especially Americans, the lemmings, as I call them, they live with their heads in the sand like an ostrich. They don't want to see the real truth. They're blind to the real truth. You know? I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. You know, I mean, they're not independent free thinkers. They don't seek the truth. They don't do any research. They avoid the truth. They do things like they occupy their time by looking at, watching...
Like trying to save your soul.
Trying to save your soul instead of worrying
your
about...
Your immortal soul.
Yeah, that doesn't...
Which you don't have.
Which you don't have, that the Bible doesn't say you have, but they say you have it. They watch stupid asinine videos on the internet. They talk about the music industry. They don't get involved with, you know, what's going on in this world, in this country, with all the crap that's going on. They don't talk about anything serious. You know, unless you go to certain websites, you know, certain, like, let's say, Facebook profile like Left Action, and there's one about Republicans being a bunch of liars, you know, I like that one. If you go to a specific page, the people will comment and get involved. But as far as the average person on your friends list, they don't care. They just care about everyday shit. I went to the movies. Oh, I went out to eat. Oh, I had a hot dog. Oh, I enjoyed it so much. Oh, I went to a concert. Oh, music video. You know, bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Nothing important. Anyway, let me... You know what?
Talk about something important.
They don't want... You can't, like, educate their minds and try to show them where they're wrong, because then they block you from replying to them. The ideology all the way. They're nuts. Like the people, you know, the right-to-lifers, and that think that contraception is not good, and a fertilized egg is a human being, all this nonsense. You know, and they're judgmental against gays. Like the king of the nuts in 2012 would have to be Santorum. You know, he's out of his mind. There's plenty of political satire banners concerning him. Anyway, this gentleman
Anybody who brings home a fetus to show his kids that this is your brother or your sister, come on, give me a break.
Sick in the head. How come that hasn't come out into mainstream news?
Ain't that funny?
Mainstream media. How come we haven't seen that?
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman next to me is a self-portrait of my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. Dr. Bill, the Reverend Dr. Bill, is a fine watercolor artist. This is a fine watercolor painting signed, like they all are, by William J. Eisenman. You can see the William J. Eisenman collection by go to Google, type in YouTube, William J. Eisenman collection, and you can throw in Mega Life 21 there, and you can see the whole thing. It's a slideshow to Caribbean steel drum music. If you like something you see, send him an email. Send Dr. Bill an email at newslettercensored.com. Ask him if the painting is still available. If it is, you can purchase it. You can work out a deal with him. It usually starts at $500 each, but, you know, make a good gift to support this work, and he'll throw in an annual subscription to Censored. Okay, here it is. This is what started the whole thing. This is the backbone of our organization, Newsletter Censored, founded in 1977 by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. It contains the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. Okay, and you cannot find anything like this in the mainstream media or the mainstream press. Okay, this is the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? So go to newslettercensored.com. This is the best way to join our organization. This is the backbone. Go to newslettercensored.com. Click on the printable order form after you read everything on the newsletter. And with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored. You need Newsletter Censored. We are living in the end times. You need Newsletter Censored to learn how to defeat a conservative and to survive the end times. And in Newsletter Censored, you also have The God Project by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity, where the Reverend Dr. Bill will teach you what the Bible really has to say, not what right-wing fundamentalists, counterfeit Christians tell you what the Bible says. Okay. And last but not least, we have Sexuality, a Holistic Approach by William J. Eisenman, PhD. So get it now. The best way to join our organization. You will also find at newslettercensored.com Dr. Bill for President. This is his third time running as an independent progressive, and he will teach you how to write in a candidate, how to write in a vote. And also, don't forget, from our radio station, which is at the top of newslettercensored.com, we have the Censored on Demand Archive Classics and the God Project on Demand. So now you won't miss a thing. Just click on, listen to whatever show that we ever did, ever. Just like with progressive discussions, you don't miss anything. It's all on demand. Now, this is an oldie but a goodie. This was the first line of nutritional supplements I ever took back in the early 1980s when I was a kid, when I first started working out. They don't advertise much, but they put all their money into research and development. Healthy and
Healthy and fit.
Fit. Let me do this again. Healthy and Fit Nutritionals from New York. President, founder, Mr. Bob Seppi. Okay. This is the most state-of-the-art product, which is 100% whey pro amino in heavenly chocolate. This product is the very best value in whey protein and also the very best value in bodybuilding and physical fitness nutritional products. Okay, it is sweetened with stevia, so it can be taken by dieters and diabetics. It can be mixed with a spoon or a shaker. You do not need a blender. It has digestive enzymes, papain and bromelain, and it has a whopping 45 grams of high-quality whey protein in a mere 2-ounce scoop. That's 45 grams per 2-ounce scoop. So you got that? 100% whey pro amino, heavenly chocolate. All right. You just Google it, Healthy and Fit Nutritionals. Look for the best price. Go to Google Shopping, or you can get it from the vitamin shop if you wish. All right, now put this back. Ooh. Oh, this bottle belongs to you, or is it going to somebody? Oh, that's yours? Yep. Excuse me. Let me make myself a little useful here. And we will return to the articles, sir. I think we covered everything, right? Yeah.
A federal judge, for the first time ever, heard arguments on Monday in a case that could determine whether animals enjoy the same constitutional protection against slavery as human beings. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Miller held the hearing in San Diego after SeaWorld asked him to dismiss a lawsuit filed by People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals that names 5 orcas as plaintiffs in the case. PETA claims the captured killer whales are treated like slaves for being forced to live in tanks and perform daily at its parks in San Diego and Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, they're a watery prison. Same thing with dolphins. They're wild animals confined to... That's how I feel about zoos. You know?
This case is on the next frontier of civil rights, said Jeffrey Kerr, PETA's attorney. SeaWorld attorney Theodore Shaw called the lawsuit a waste of time and resources. He said it defies common sense and goes against 125 years of case law applied to the Constitution's 13th Amendment that prohibits slavery. Neither orcas nor any other animal were included in the We the People when the Constitution was adopted. Miller listened to both sides for an hour before announcing that he would take the case under advisement and issue his ruling later. Mr. Kerr acknowledged PETA faces an uphill battle, but he said he was hopeful. For the first time in our nation's history, a federal court heard arguments as to whether living, breathing, feeling beings have rights and can be enslaved simply because they happen to not have been born human. Shaw warned a ruling for the orcas could impact everything from how the government uses dogs to sniff out bombs and drugs to how zoos and aquariums operate. We're talking about hell unleashed, he said.
Gee, no wonder orcas sometimes turn on their trainers.
You know why they do that? Boredom.
Yeah, you got an animal weighing many tons living in a swimming pool. You know, and what do they stare at? They stare at the concrete walls of the pool and the bottom. It's boring. I mean, they make them work. They do the same thing with the dolphins. You know, they charge a lot of money for you as a tourist to swim with the dolphins. It's a ripoff, and there's a big waiting list, and humans are capitalizing on at the expense of these poor dolphins. You know, their psychological well-being and their health is at stake, and they're making money off of them, exploiting them, exploitation of animals for money. Here we go again. It gets back to money. Greed. Why are so many creatures extinct on this planet? Again, greed, business. Greed. Same thing with the fishing industry. Why is your seafood so high? Because the waters are overfished. Why is there pollution in the water? Greed. Everything comes back to greed, corporate greed. And who supports corporate greed and deregulates companies and says it's okay? Right-wing conservative Republicans. You know, what do you think? What do you think of that, Billy Boy?
Well, it's all true. What are you going to say?
All right.
I don't know if it's constitutional.
What?
I don't know if it'll pass muster with the Constitution, since the Constitution obviously was written for humans, and of course at the time it was written, it did not include slaves.
Yeah, it did not say anything about exploitation of animals.
Right. So it's probably an uphill battle for PETA.
Yeah, well.
But if they are being mistreated, the orcas or any other animal in whatever captivity, it should be investigated.
Absolutely.
And rectified or brought to justice or whatever.
Rectified. What the proctologists always say. We must rectify.
We must rectify this problem. Now turn around, sir.
Rectify. Okay.
The coqui, I believe that's how
it's a frog. It's a frog in Puerto Rico.
The coqui is a tiny, coin-sized frog.
It's like a tree frog.
Whose distinctive nightly mating calls
No, they don't do that. I just did that.
are a beloved sound in Puerto Rico and other Caribbean islands.
I never really heard them when I was in Puerto Rico because I was not in the. They might be nocturnal, so I was not in the rainforest at night. But they supposedly make a sort of coquille kind of sound.
Coquille, coquille, coquille.
Isn't it funny to name a creature after the sound it makes?
No, that sounds
It's like
good to
calling
me.
a duck a quack.
Quacker. Should be called a quacker instead of a duck. Yeah. But people in Hawaii don't share the same sentiment.
Because they're not indigenous.
The frogs have been growing in population in the state in recent years
Somebody transported them there?
and are now starting to show up in larger numbers on Oahu.
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 You know, there's no
That's where Honolulu
there's
is
no
located.
W in there. Oahu. Unless they made
It's
a
pronounced Oahu. It's where Honolulu is.
Oahu. Oahu.
Take it up with Don Ho, but he's dead. So
Tiny bubble.
tiny bubbles in the
Yeah.
wine makes me feel happy, makes me feel fine.
Anyway, on Oahu, home to most of the state's population, the frogs already have a strong foothold on the less populated Big Island.
You know, the island of Maui is infested with Jackson's chameleons from Kenya, originally from East Africa, because they did it, I think, for the reptile trade industry. They was ideal conditions for them, and they just
grew, baby.
yeah,
Be fruitful and multiply.
exactly.
The frogs already, the people there on the Big Island complain of being kept awake at night with a thunderous roar of chirps
Thunderous roar.
as thousands of male kokwe
Oh man,
simultaneously summon partners.
so it's deafening.
A mating chorus, some say, can be as loud as a jet airplane.
Wow, must be a lot of dime-sized frogs that do that. Multiple
Horny frogs.
coin,
Horny.
horny coin
Horny.
size.
Horny frogs. That's their call to the mate. That's what they're doing.
They
They're
have-
calling for mates.
They're calling for the mates.
Yeah.
So it's the males that have to do all the work.
Kokwe, kokwe.
The females just show up and lie there.
In lipstick? And high heels?
Yeah.
The frogs are also preventing the state's plant nurseries from exporting to some markets and depressing some Big Island property values. The frogs aren't stopping tourists from visiting, but there's a fear they could if they spread further. There have been just as many reports on kokwe on Oahu in 2011 as the 7 prior years combined, said Derek Arakaki,
Arakaki?
who helps to hunt kokwe frogs
Hunt
for the
them?
State Department.
Hunt them. You realize what kind of a job that would be, trying to chase these little tiny frogs hopping every which way?
Anyway, he's from the State Department of Agriculture.
I don't envy his job, trying to net them.
Before Arakaki and 2 others on the kokwe eradication team would head out to capture the frogs on Oahu once a month, or maybe twice a month. This year, there have been times when they've had to go kokwe hunting twice a week. The frogs are a significant problem in their non-native Hawaii because the state has no natural predators to stop their advance.
That's true. That is true.
As a result, they have spread quickly through the lush forests and yards near Hilo since they were accidentally introduced to the Big Island in the 1990s. Accidentally introduced.
Accidentally?
Yeah.
It's possible. It's stowaways, right?
I guess so. They have been making a steady advance into the more populated areas. Oahu, in recent years, sneaking onto the island on plants and stowing away in cars, piles of lumber, cargo pallets, and whatever else that's being sent to Honolulu.
Huh.
Compared to the amount that's on the Big Island, very few are actually getting through, said Carol Okada, an Agricultural Department plant quarantine manager who heads the state's efforts to control invasive species. But the amount that's getting through is still enough to establish a population, so we are still very concerned. Kokwi, which get their name because of their koki chirps, are showing up in diverse places.
That's good.
The International Marketplace Outdoor Bazaar in the heart of Waikiki, the state's tourist mecca.
Waikiki Beach. That's near Honolulu. That's where the famous Diamond Head is. You ever hear of Diamond Head?
Yes.
Man,
The surfer's delight.
those little frogs sure reproduce very quickly. They don't waste time, do they?
Near a banyan tree in front of a multiplex theater.
I know the banyan tree. It's a very unusual tree. They got them in Florida. The tree looks like it's huge, but it looks like it's all roots. The trunk looks like a bundle of roots.
Yeah, I've seen them.
You've seen
Yes.
them? Where?
Banyan trees.
On documentary?
They look much like the, or are they the same as these ones down in the Keys?
Yeah, that's where
It's the banyan trees.
yeah, I've seen them in the Keys.
Yes, I've seen them.
Yeah, I mean, no connection with Kenny Banya of the Seinfeld series. No, that's Kenny Banya, not Banyan. I'm just being funny. All right.
7 koki were found in a home in the upscale Diamond Head neighborhood. The residents had brought back some plants from the Big Island, not knowing they needed to be inspected for koki before shipping them to Oahu. Koki eradication team members spot them by mimicking their mating call, which prompts the frogs to call back. They home in on the sound, trap the frogs with a clear tube. Sometimes they'll spray water to entice the frog to sing. What, they sing in the shower?
Yeah. Well, a koki, I believe, I could be mistaken, but it's a type of
We got a picture here.
tree frog. Does it have chubby? Does it have a thick? I mean, does it have round pads on the end of the toes?
No. The toes are.
Okay. Oh, this is photo.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait till you're done,
Yeah.
and then I'll show it. I'll show it the proper way, in front of my clipboard.
In a few cases, the koki team has found so many frogs, they've had to kill them with citric acid,
Oh, that's not nice.
the preferred chemical for eradicating the frogs.
They die from citric acid. You mean to tell me when I squeeze my lemons in my ice cold spring water at the buffet, which is my favorite beverage, is lemon and water, very refreshing. If I accidentally squirted a koki, it would like kill them?
I guess so. And
Citric acid,
by
really?
the way, isn't citric acid in all your sodies?
Well, yeah. I didn't know they were that sensitive. to
Phosphoric acid, citric acid. People don't understand that the sodas, the pops, whatever you want to call them, they're not very good for your stomach and your intestines, especially phosphoric acid.
No. And I know the skin of amphibians are very sensitive to the environment.
Oh, this guy looks very thin-skinned, to tell you the truth. Actually. Not
Yeah,
like,
well-
I mean, some of your toads and everything, they seem to have thick skin, you know.
Well, a toad is like a terrestrial frog. It has a very bumpy, with warts, skin, very, very rough, thick-looking skin. But nevertheless, amphibians are very sensitive to the environment. Salamanders, newts, frogs, toads.
That was the case in the rural windward Oahu town of Paula, where cocaine had spread across several homes and a city park. Residents there heard nocturnal chirping, but didn't call the state's pest control hotline because they thought birds were making the sounds.
Sounds like the cane toads of Australia, the non-indigenous, non-invasive,
they invaded our
invasive species.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cane toad was brought to Australia to deal with a pestilence for crops, for farmers, right? An insect population.
And it became the pest.
Now they became the pest. There's too many cane toads. And toads have, like salamanders, have a toxin in which they emit through the bumps on their back. That's the self-defense of salamanders and toads. Venom.
By the time the authorities were notified, the frogs had been around and breeding for 2 years. It took the crew several months to get rid of the infestation. The problem is only made worse by recession-induced budget cuts that forced the state to slash the number of cargo inspectors to 50 from 95.
I wasn't urinating. That was my tea I was pouring. All right, go ahead.
This caused the Agricultural Department to prioritize checking out-of-state cargo because imports are more likely to carry harmful species like snakes, an animal that hasn't become established in Hawaii. Akata said the state will have to capture more pests that get through because there haven't been enough people to spot them at the ports. When you're not at the front end, you end up chasing it on the back end, Okada said.
Oh, okay. I'm going to show the cookie frog, which has infested Hawaii. Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Hawaii? Hey, Hawaii. The island of Oahu, right? All right,
Oahu.
Now, here we go. Here we go.
Good.
Good?
Good.
Close?
Good.
Higher, lower?
No, it's about right.
That's about right? Should I get closer?
If the light is good. I think you go back a little bit because the light is probably not as great.
All right, the coqui frog. Got that? It's a lot better since I'm using my clipboard for these photographs. But that's the photo of the coqui frog that has infested the island of Oahu. All right, coqui. From Puerto Rico originally. Take a look at this little guy. It's very tiny. But could you imagine how many of them it would have to take to cause that deafening sound?
Yeah.
That's how much they infested Oahu. Okay, what do we got here?
Nothing apparently gets between a man and his Air Jordans.
Oh, big deal. An overpriced athletic sneaker made in a third world country for peanuts and sold for a fortune here. You know, like Americans really need the Air Jordan.
In the latest episode of Retail Gone Horribly Awry, crowds of unruly shoppers across the country fought among themselves, scuffled with the police, upended Christmas decorations, and broke down doors leading up to the release. Michael Jordan-inspired basketball shoes.
That's because there's a limited quantity of them, limited edition. That's why they went nuts. Hey, this is an old article, isn't it?
Christmas, around Christmas time.
Oh yeah, let's get through that article quick because it's a.
Yes, but it may be old, but it still has the same universal things involved in
behavior.
Your greed, your behavior, all of this stuff.
Human behavior, me, I, selfishness.
Yeah.
You're right.
We can go back. Yeah.
It does have universal meaning.
That's correct. The unrest stretched from suburban Seattle to Jersey City, where a man was stabbed 7 times as he waited in line to buy the $180 sneakers.
7 times?
7 times.
For a bunch of latex and leather?
At the Newport Center Mall.
Oh, that figures. Jersey City.
The victim, set upon by several teenagers, was recovering at Jersey City Medical Center.
Where was security at this mall?
They were scuffling with police. It says the people were scuffling.
I would have took out the old batons.
No.
Beat the living shit out of them.
No, the police only take out the batons in Gestapo-like tactics against peaceful people occupying Wall Street.
The Occupy Wall Street.
They do not take these things out on
thugs.
Real criminals and thugs.
Thugs.
Yeah.
No, it's only people that are against the fat cats, right? They conveniently take out the batons, the bludgeons.
Yeah.
Interesting.
At the Woodbridge Center Mall in Middlesex County, 3 customers who scored pairs of the shoes after waiting in line for 13 hours were ambushed by a larger group as they walked toward their car. The thieves snatched their bags and fled in a green Honda. Police later charged 5 Perth Amboy residents, a 21-year-old man, and 4 16-year-olds with the robbery. Nike's Air Jordan line has been a tremendous hit with consumers since it was first introduced in 1985. And past debuts have not been incident-free. But Friday's midnight release of the latest iteration, the Air Jordan 11 Retro Concords,
oh God,
replicas of the sneakers Jordan wore during his first NBA comeback in 1995, led to a frenzy that outstripped even the chaos of Black Friday, when a woman at a Los Angeles Walmart used pepper spray to keep other shoppers away from discounted video games. Authorities in Atlanta said they had to smash a car window to free 2 toddlers who had been left behind when their mother went into a store to buy the sneakers.
Oh boy.
In the Jersey City case, the stabbing victim told police he'd been waiting in line with about 300 other people at the Newport Center Mall when he and another man in line got into a fight.
You mean somebody tried to cut ahead of somebody? Maybe?
The victim, a 20-year-old Jersey City resident, said up to 6 teenagers joined in the attack. Stabbed in the back, shoulder, leg, arm, the victim staggered out of the mall, trailing blood. He collapsed near the Hudson Bergen Light Rail Station.
And nobody saw this victim until he staggered outside the mall and reached the rail station?
Hey, but if you...
No mall security saw a man trailing blood on the floor of the Newport Mall?
If you were walking out with a little shoplifting, I'm sure they would have saw you.
Interesting. You remember the movie Paul Blart? Hold on. Remember the movie Paul Blart, Mall Cop? And it's like a satire making fun of mall cops.
Was that with Kenneth James?
No, that's the fat guy that's in King of Queens.
Yeah.
Raymond.
James.
Yeah,
James.
Raymond's buddy from the Raymond Show. Yeah, he played Paul Blart, and it's like you were making fun of mall cops because they're not exactly the brightest bulbs on the Christmas tree.
Rent-a-cop.
Yeah, but I've seen them do things that are really dumb. But anyway, this guy is staggering. First of all, there's the fight. There's the stabbing. He's trailing blood on the floor of the mall, and nobody calls Jersey City Police Department until the guy collapses at the train station?
That's what it said.
Something's wrong with that picture, buddy.
Police are still looking for this guy, the attackers. They give you a number here to call.
Oh, you mean like that anonymous tips? What do they call it?
Yeah.
Crime Stoppers. It's probably like Crime Stoppers, anonymous tips, and but what about cameras at the Newport Mall? The cameras pick up anything, or is it only New York City that has cameras everywhere? Security cameras.
One never knows.
One never knows. Modern day human society. I mean, it's like people's priorities are really strange, aren't they? What you got there, Chief?
New Jersey's state park system is treasured by more than 19 million visitors each year. Our 43 parks are a major part of the state's $3.9 billion outdoor recreation industry and provide residents with the opportunity to experience the outdoors.
I guess that's why Christie hasn't closed any yet, because they're making money, right?
But Governor Christie has released a park privatization plan.
There we go. He wants to sell off the parks. Republican privatization program. Here we go.
That places the future of our parks in private hands.
Privatize, private corporations, greed. Here we go again.
And potentially limits the public access, decreases services and raises costs on residents. These places were purchased to and for the people of New Jersey. And Christie wants to turn them over to private companies.
The wilderness, the wild lands, whatever you want to call them, natural habitats.
They are ours.
They belong to the people, not to private corporations. The flora and the fauna and the wealth of the earth belong to God, and God says share it. They do not belong to people. But here we go. Corruption, evil, greed, the devil's economics, led by the right-wingers all the time.
Concessions are not just hot dog stands. Under this plan, concessionaires will run the entire operation of the park and charge users multiple times during their visit for swimming, fishing, using camp areas, and so on. Under Christie's plan, 2/3 of the state park budget would come from alternative funding such as these additional fees. This privatization push is being spurred by Christie's cuts in parks budget and staffing. Last year, the governor diverted $40 million from the Department of Environmental Protection to the general fund instead of investing in our parks. He slashed park funding by 30% from 2 years ago and called for a substantial drop in park entrance fees and permits. So he wants to squeeze so that then we got no money, so we have to sell to private people.
So he sets them up for deliberate self-destruction.
Like they're doing with the post office right now.
Deliberately arranging it so they self-destruct, and then they
starve the beast. That's their strategy with the government in Washington. Starve it.
Starve it so
won't have any money.
So you have
to run.
You have a continuously shrinking government, and you have continuously more privatization, and corporations
that can do what the hell they want.
And corporations which are unregulated by the right-wing conservatives, slowly but surely, or even quickly, start to take over the United States more and more and more until it is totally corporate controlled, and you, the poor schmucks out there, the middle class and the poor, end up working for peanuts, for not making a living wage, and eventually work as slaves for the fat cats, and then we have feudalism back to modern times in the 21st century. Feudalism, right? Pretty much.
That's it.
The serfs, the kings, the royal family, and then you have the peasants and the serfs,
and the barons, and
the barons, the earls,
princes,
the Duke of Earl,
princesses, In 1995, there were 850 employees in the State Division of Parks and Forestry. Now there are only 407. Changes to the pension programs could lower the staff further. The governor is using these cuts as an excuse to privatize.
There you go. Privatization. It's the same. They're so predictable, Republicans.
They're so predictable, but the fact of the matter is that their people don't ever get it. They don't ever get it.
And the lemmings that vote for them don't get it either.
That's the ones I mean.
The lemmings, they don't get it. The people that vote for the conservatives, the Republicans, are not in a high income tax bracket. They might not ever see a high income tax bracket, and they don't have a pot to piss in, but they vote Republican because they're spellbound. They're in a hypnotic trance. They're deceived. Like the book of Revelation. What is that? Revelation
12:9.
12:9?
Yeah.
The whole world is deceived.
Correct.
Interesting.
We have already seen problems at privatized sites. Earlier this month, Grand Canyon National Park dropped a proposal to ban plastic water bottles in the park. The decision came after Coca-Cola announced it would withhold $13 million in funding if the policy was adopted. You see what the corporations want? Total control. Total control.
Total control. Yeah, I mean, they always, well, I mean, I can go on and on. It's a whole other talk show. I mean, when a corporation puts people on salary, that's easy. That means that if you work overtime, you work for free. You know, and taking away benefits. It's slowly getting to the point where, you know, the masses won't be able to get a public school education, therefore they will be dumbed down. They will. There's no jobs, so you know if you have like thousands of people applying for one job, that means they have an excuse to pay you shit and give you no benefits. But then again, the cost of living keeps on going up. So if the average salary is even further below the high cost of living, how does the little guy or the mainstream American survive?
Well, perhaps they don't want them to survive. Or they'd like them to survive under their strategies, that is, as slaves.
And if you move into a tent city in the woods, they want to evict you.
Oh, yeah.
See, if you become homeless...
Even when you want to go on public property, they want to evict you. Your own property.
Now, do you see...
that you, as a citizen, own in common.
But do you see how society is in America? As soon as your house gets foreclosed after you get laid off, and you're destitute and you move into a tent, society immediately looks upon you like you're some animal or something. Like you're a subhuman, or you're worthless. Nobody cares about what you have to say when you're homeless in a tent. Meanwhile, it's the very system that we're living in that made that person live in a tent. And of course, the veterans living in tents in Florida is absolutely heartbreaking and despicable. I told Mr. Peter Anta that too. I mentioned it, but no, it did no good. Mentioning all these people in tents and these veterans living in tents, it meant no good because the ideology is so ingrained in them. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, that's why, I hate to say it, but that's why our shows do not have millions and millions of hits like all the stupid-ass videos that are out there. Think about it. People don't care about what's important. Their priorities are messed up.
In the past, many of these contracts have been sweetheart deals for the park operator, while costing the state money and restricting public access. The state purchased the Cream Ridge Golf Course in Monmouth County for $4 million and then leased the facility back to the company it was purchased from for $100,000 a year. If a private company has a choice between a corporate event and public access, the company will choose the money-making event, as seen at Island Beach State Park in Ocean County,
Very nice place.
Skylands Manor in Ringwood, and Farley Marina in Atlantic City. We have battled against private golf courses and water parks at Liberty State Park in Jersey City, and now these developments could happen. Christie is following in lockstep with the Koch brothers' plan to privatize state park lands. Organizations like the Reason Foundation call for first privatizing a small group of parks with partners, including nonprofits, which is now moving forward at Liberty Island Beach.
So that fat piece of shit wants to sell off and privatize Liberty State Park in Jersey City, where the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island can be seen right offshore, and Lower Manhattan is right in front of you. He wants to privatize that lovely place. These people have to be stopped. I don't know.
And Wharton State Forest in South Jersey. More and more parks will come into the system while pushing out the nonprofits. These groups want to get the government and public out of parks, turning them into corporate assets. Liberty State Park's lease will be the model for future privatization. The DEP has already released a draft lease for concession and catering services that is open-ended and gives way too much power to the private company without limits on the amount of fees the company can charge the public.
Yeah, well,
So they want to take it over and charge people from coming to look at Lady Liberty.
Well, screw Lady Liberty. I'd rather look at Lady Liberty at home on a YouTube video or in a documentary. Governor's Island, I saw a documentary about that, historic. I won't pay a fee to go see it. It's like the Jersey Shore, you know, some areas of the Jersey Shore, like Point Pleasant Beach, is privatized. I guess Seaside Heights is. I mean, you know, you got to pay for every damn thing. Everything. Pay to put your bathing suit on. Pay to park your car.
Is
Pay
there
to
any
go.
wonder why the money keeps going upward?
Pay to go on the beach. Yeah.
Okay.
Siphon up economics. Siphon up to the 1%. Siphon up to the rich
30%.
economics. Siphon up, not trickle down. Trickle down doesn't exist. But you lemmings keep on believing what the Republicans tell you.
The lease has no safeguards to prevent pay-to-play abuse, sweetheart deals, or protect adequate public access and public oversight. There are few limits on commercial uses, and we could end up with a chain of restaurants like Applebee's, arcades, indoor shops, and conference centers
Wonderful.
on Liberty Island.
And of course Republicans would turn around and say, oh, those are new jobs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, work
Yes, you're stifling innovation.
Work in an area work in a company that pays you minimum or $8.50 an hour or $7 an hour, and try to make ends meet in this day and age. Oh yeah, real great jobs.
But remember,
With no benefits.
to produce those jobs, they get rid of the public service jobs.
So when my uncles and grandpa used to say, take the civil service tests and get a
Government job.
Get a government job. You'll be set. You'll be set, man. You'll be
Not today.
You'll have it made in the shade. No more. No
Not
more.
today.
No more.
The plan calls for unique partnerships to raise funding. This could include naming rights, turning parks into corporate advertisements, such
boy.
as Fort Mott's Applesauce State Park and Jeep Liberty State Park.
Yeah, or MetLife Stadium where the New York Giants and Jets play. MetLife.
What's that other one? The Continental Arena?
Continental Arena? Oh, they used no. Yeah, Continental Arena. The Prudential Building in Newark, where the New Jersey Devils hockey team plays. Everything privatized, 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 privatized.
Unique partnerships and stewardships could lead to commercial logging in our state parks. There are many solutions for funding our parks, from a modest sales tax on outdoor recreation equipment to a tax on ATVs. The DEP has a history of not collecting fees on existing leases. A 2004 audit by the Office of Legislative Services found that in one state park alone, more than $700,000 had gone uncollected from leases. That's what happened under the G.W. Bush administration, where we couldn't collect the fees from the oil drilling on public lands and the logging on public lands, etc., etc. No royalties for the government. Nothing. Give it all free to the big corporations. Siphon up.
Siphon up.
Siphon up.
That's right.
The state could update these lease records and improve lease monitoring and payment collection. The state parks belong to all of us. Christie is breaking that trust in giving away our public lands to private corporations that only care about their bottom line, not New Jersey's people.
That's right. You heard it. And I just want to tell, before we close the show, because this is it, we're done, I want to tell America that you people living in other states, you only see a Chris Christie that is portrayed by the American media, which makes him out to be some kind of political Captain America hero.
Reformer.
Oh, he's got a charisma, he's got spunk, he's got a pair of balls, he tells people off. You only look at it the way he's portrayed, like
PR.
like he's a savior. But we're stuck with him here in New Jersey. We know the real Chris Christie.
Yeah.
And
Crisco
Christie, and he is not a Captain America. He is not a savior. He is not a Superman with a cape that's going to rescue us. No.
He couldn't even fly. He couldn't get off the ground.
If you put him in a hot air balloon, he would require maybe 3 hot air balloons to get him off. He is a hot air balloon. What am I saying? But the point is, you need a B-52 bomber to fly him to different destinations. But the thing is that he's not a savior. He's not. The only thing he will rescue and save is the 1%, the elitists, the fat cats, from paying any taxes for the rest of their lives. He will prevent them from doing so.
Yep.
That's it. That's all it is. But you know what? You people gotta wake up, man. Smell the coffee. Get educated. Educate your mind. Research. Don't be lazy. Learn. You're capable of learning. Break the spell. You know what I mean? But you know what? A lot of people out there, they don't care about what's going on in America. They don't care about what... very few...
Then why do they pretend that they want to put in the moral laws for us and teach us to live the good life and save our souls? That's caring, isn't it?
No,
that's certainly misdirected, but it's caring.
That might be more about power than wanting to, than caring about our souls being saved. You think that's about power?
Control and power.
Control? Maybe some people in the end times, how many people in the Great Tribulation, how many people are supposed to perish?
1/3.
1/3 of humanity. Well, maybe it's best that happens. You know what I mean?
But they will be resurrected at another time. Given another chance.
Do I
100 years to live the life.
Do I get to kick all their asses?
No, there will be no violence at that time.
I mean, I can't kick their ass.
No war.
After the
devil will be put away.
After all these right-wingers are resurrected, I can't beat them up one at a time?
I read something the other day from a...
Do they allow shillelaghs in the world tomorrow?
No shillelaghs.
No?
No.
That's okay.
There will be no whoremongers and whatever in the kingdom of God.
No whoremongers?
I read something...
You
well,
mean you
a whole
can't,
bunch of other ones.
You mean you can't get laid in the... There's no sex?
Oh, there'll be sex for the ones that were resurrected as humans. But there's no sex for the spirit beings.
But it won't be like, you know, free-for-all. It won't be like recreational sex.
You will have your own wife and family.
Well, they say, according to the Bible, the first person you marry is your bona fide
The one
wife.
you had sex with the first time.
The one you have sex with the first time is your wife?
Anything else after that is adultery.
Yeah, but what if there's absolutely no love between the man and the woman that...
Well, you know, love is a funny thing. It's something that has never really existed for the common man and woman throughout history. Love came to very few throughout history.
Mostly it was
Real
like
love.
It was like a business proposition, the dowry.
Mostly it was economical.
Yeah. The bride's family had to pay a dowry to the grooms.
A tribe would marry someone from the other tribe, or
Right.
like the kings did in the old days.
Arranged marriages.
Arranged marriage.
Giving livestock. The bride's family would give livestock. They called that the dowry, right?
Dowry.
So, and as far as the marriage as we know it today, when did it first start? I assume with the Catholic Church first started the tradition.
Churches were never involved
Yeah.
in marriages until around the 14th or 15th century.
Right, and that's when they started doing
Then
them.
churches began to marry
And that was the invention of the so-called marriage vows
of the church.
of the church in the 15th century. So it's a relatively new.
Before that, marriages were of a secular nature.
You hear that? So it was a relatively new concept. And of course, celibacy in the Catholic Church is even a more...
And a celibacy in anywhere is a devil's trait. Because the devil cannot reproduce, and he's pissed off
Right.
about that. Because he understands God's plan.
Right.
He understands what God is doing. God is raising other gods. And the devil doesn't like that. Because he cannot reproduce.
Right.
And he knows, like I was saying, I read this religious pamphlet the other day. And in it, it says that God will eventually destroy the devil. And that's not what the Bible says. The devil cannot be destroyed.
It's an archangel.
He's an immortal being. He will be put away forever after the millennium, when he's released again to do damage so that God can test his people.
He'll get a life sentence.
A life sentence in a fiery place.
Right. But because he is
It'll
still...
probably be a black hole or
But
something.
because he is still the number one head honcho archangel Lucifer, he is immortal and he cannot be destroyed. Just put away.
So he will be put away, and he will not be able to influence anyone ever again.
Right.
So everyone will then learn God's laws and about God, and etc., and in the plan.
Right. Now there's a reason why I'm ending with this conversation, because Valentine's Day, the pagan Valentine's Day, is coming this Tuesday, about love. So as far as the traditional marriage that we know today, with the marriage vows and the love and everything, that started around the 15th century.
The church one.
The church one.
Before that, families were involved. You wanted to take somebody to be your mate. Your families understood it, and they proclaimed it. There's some places in Italy.
It was an arrangement
Where
by the family.
The two people marry, tell everybody they're married and everything, and then went on the honeymoon, and the next day they show out the sheet with blood on it.
Oh, I know where this
so
is
that
going.
they know that she was a virgin. It's that.
You mean
there's all kinds of.
So they know her cherry was popped.
Yeah.
Hold on.
But there was no.
Her cherry was popped.
See, there was no. In marriage in the old days, there were no papers involved.
No contract.
No
marriage certificate
no
with
nothing.
fees that you have to pay.
Yeah, nothing,
oh,
nothing.
the license. You got to get a license.
No license.
Marriage
No
license.
blood test.
Marriage certificate. This and that and all this bullshit. So, well, an Indian gentleman years ago that used to be one of my supervisors, he told me that I asked him a question about the Hindu religion because he was Hindu, and Hindus are generally vegetarian or vegan, I asked him about arranged marriages in Indian culture. He says yes, it still exists, but you have 1 year. I think he told me you have 1 year in which to decide if you wanted to keep,
no.
if you want, right. In other words, if the bride and groom decided, you know what,
this ain't for us.
it's not for us, or this woman, she's not
But they've
for
been
me.
banging each other that year, no?
Oh yeah, they'll be banging away. They'll be pumping like friggin'
I wonder how that's going to
like a
interfere
machine.
with her, with her value for the next guy.
Well, her cherry's she's gonna be broken in like a baseball glove. But I'm saying they have 1 year to annul, I guess, to say no, it's not working out. It's a trial. There is a trial. I'm talking about arranged marriages by the parents,
Yeah, of course.
which is ridiculous. But anyway. So the whole concept of love, as we know it now, is started in the 15th century. The whole concept of celibacy with the Catholic priests is even more younger than that.
I don't know if love started in the 15th century. I mean, you can go back to David.
Well, I mean the whole.
And
well, when people
Bathsheba.
Right. No, there was a lot. Obviously, there was
a lot for her because he loved her.
Obviously, there was love, but as far as making
it wasn't for the common man.
as far as making it legal for the common man and having a ceremony with the vows and everything.
But that's marriage. We're talking about two different things here.
You're talking about marriage.
Love and marriage, love and marriage
Well,
don't go together like a horse and carriage.
Listen, any creature with sexual organs can copulate, and anybody can love without the contract and the vows and the ceremony. That's obvious.
Yeah, the Koki do it.
The coqui frog, who infested the island of Oahu, can do it. They have no problem doing it. There's no ceremonies there. You don't have no Rick Santorums, no in Froggy Kingdom saying, you don't have right-wing fundamentalists saying, you bunch of lustful sinners. Ooh. You don't have that. They just do it. Like a bunch of swingers at Plato's Retreat back in the day. But that's about it, But that Santorum, man, he gets under my skin. Like Christie does. I'd say the two people in 2012 I take that back. The three people in 2012 that get under my skin is Newt Gingrich, the slimy salamander, Christie, and Rick Santorum. Santorum is he's basically like a holy roller nut. Like those people that think they're speaking in tongues when they actually sound like a bunch of idiots. There are still.
Well, actually, he's a Roman Catholic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ken Create's cousin is actually says that she has more power in prayer when she speaks in tongues, so-called tongues.
When she's not understood?
And I think she's ordained, or that's what he says. She's a pastor. Sometimes I wonder how legal these so-called pastors really are with them being pastors. But this tongue thing is a bunch of bullshit. It really is, because the Bible's mentioning the tongues there is a different situation in the Old Testament. It's a bunch of horseshit. They're trying to make you think that they're closer to God than you because they're speaking gibberish.
They're trying to focus on themselves some sort of charisma, some sort of psychological distance between you and the common people.
It's.
Did you ever hear that thing by?
It's vanity, right?
Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Yeah, the album that he has. And he has that one song about he meets this girl, and she's rich, and she wants to. He's not rich, and she wants to have sex with him, and she wants to go home with him, and everything like that. She wants to be like the common people. See, she's different because she's rich and everything. So I think that's what they try to do. They try to establish some sort of charisma.
It's like a hierarchy. In other words, it's about vanity.
Well, of course, yeah, because it's I.
Self-righteousness. Sanctimonious.
I'm better than you.
I'm better than you. It's like a celebrity who can't run their own website or Facebook profile. They have to hire other people to do it. And if you try to talk to a celebrity, you're lucky if they say hi or nod their head, because they're better than you. It happens, men and women, it doesn't matter. It's like this is a kind of a self-righteous vanity, arrogance, pride. It's all a human trait. It's all a human trait. Anyway, thank you for joining us for Progressive Discussions. Say so long to everybody.
Hasta la vista, everybody.
You almost sounded like Tiny Tim.
Hasta la vista, everybody.
No, not that Tiny Tim. That was Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I mean, God bless. I mean, God. I mean, Christmas Carol. God bless us, everyone.
Oh, Tiny Tim.
The crippled one.
Yeah.
All right.
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim.